As an anthropologist, you think about how society works. What is the glue between people, and what also is the rhetorics they use. And then in a professional career or in university studies, you always look towards the other culture. But in fact, it's quite interesting to apply all the knowledge about how society works, how people communicate together, how they get objectives done, to look at this whole realm in our own society. So anthropology is not only about the other culture, the strange culture. It's also it's about we groups in our world.
I was just going to say it's actually the we science, if you.
It's well,
somehow.
To sum it up, it is a we science. Yeah, of course, because it focuses a lot on the relationship of the I and the we. So there's always a juxtaposition of I and we, and there's always a contradiction and a tension. And that, I mean, society and culture is the medium to even that out. And different cultures have found different ways to deal with it.
So what is your understanding of we? How would you define for yourself the we?
Depends on how we look, what perspectives we take. As an individual, we always want to be part of a we. I want to be part of a we. And then sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. And one thing, it can hurt, or it can be a very nice state of affairs, or a state of being.
So it's a kind of fluid thing?
Yeah, of course it's fluid. I always have to move from I to we, and also from an I thinking to we thinking.
How is your work related to this idea of we?
To work about something I call the art of cooperation, a universal issue, but I'm trying to focus on topics that take in account or that explore cooperation.
For example?
It's something which seems to be natural and self-evident, but we see in big organizations we always witness it doesn't work, then it works again, and it especially in very hierarchical organizations, we is a lip confession, something we know it's important, but we work against it.
Would you consider that it takes a pretty strong me to do a great job on the we?
Yeah, you have to be decided to do it. It takes a strong me, and that's always relative. How strong is my me? How do I know? But generally we have this mindset, I against the world, I have to trespass and many difficulties. The others are keeping me away from the well, from the water hole. So the other is an enemy. Which, of course, yeah, it's true.
In many ways,
it's true. But in many other ways, it's a question of trust in the we group. And that's the only way to get beyond this picture.
What is your interest in this Mind Kiss project?
Mind Kiss is a very interesting endeavor. There's a communication. Dagmar Beude-Köhler is trying to establish a very unplanned and unorganized deep communication with the work of Ube. So, by presenting a certain painting of Ube to somebody who has never seen it before, it evokes something, and it provokes how would I say that? A very direct and deep reflection of the one who sees this picture, who encounters it, and it tears open a curtain to the very specific view on the world of this person. So then there's a we emerging, and a relationship between an artist who is dead now and the existential thinking of one person. Is this a we matter?
For me it is, yeah. Of course, it's a we matter. But as a filmmaker, if you now think as a filmmaker, what would be your interest in this Mind Kiss? Or this, I mean, what you were describing is basically this encounter, really the moment, you know.
What would be my interest in why is it interesting?
Yeah, why is it interesting from a filmmaker's point of view? Or from your point of view, as a filmmaker? That might be the better question.
I think there's a deep story in handling the cognitive and the artistic and the creative heritage of somebody, of Ube, who had, and now there are different facets of this. Ube, for example, had a very strong interest in understanding the world and by his art, and understanding, I don't know, it's also a way of exploring Ube. Making a film is exploring in these different directions, exploring him, and what were his questions, and making the relevance of his questions visible, and then bringing his voice and witnessing a communication of him and somebody else who has something to say about the world, who is also very curious, who also has chosen his topic. And in that way it would open up new perspectives. So following the voyages of Ube is something which is very virtual, becomes very real. So that's a challenge. But also, as a filmmaker, it's always a challenge to step into the unknown, because you don't know before if it really works.
If what
If it
really
really
works.
gives a strong story.
Okay.
If the story is evocative and provokes energy, it should provoke energy. If I say I'm moved by something, then one who encounters this art is moved, and he's moved to react, and he's moved to tell something of himself. So all of a sudden, different realms, the I of Ube and the we of the communication merge. They come together, and something new is established or happens. So then, putting this together, various stories of various people encountering Ube and his work, is a story in itself. It's a story about the unknown, and it's a story about curiosity, and that art is science and science is art. So it has very many facets I'm interested in.
What is art for you? I mean, you just mentioned art is science and the other way around, but what is art for you?
Also many answers, but and I have only a few, but I think a piece of art is like a membrane, membrane. The very specific experience of the artist and his expression is set free, and then me as the recipient or the viewer or the listener or the sensual counterpart, it's like a door into the heart of the artist, and it's like a door into the heart of darkness.